Hi there! In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to build a simple 4-function calculator app, as seen here. So to begin with, let us press Create New App. I'm going to call this app Calculator. And here our calculator shows up. Okay. Let us begin. So what do I want? I want, as you can see here from this app, I have a black display label. Sorry, it's blending in with the rest of the black on the screen. I need all these, the buttons with all the numbers, the functions, a clear, and an equals. So let's get started on that. So what I'm going to do is, first, I want to hide the screen one. So under screen one, where it says title visible in the properties, I'm going to unselect that. And then let's get started. So the first thing we want is I want that top black label on my calculator, and you're more than welcome to change the colors and the properties, etc. So I want the font on my label to be 64. I am actually going to remove the text. I'm going to make the height, I want mine to be about 15%. The width, I'm going to fill the parent. I want the background, I'm going to do mine black, and I'm actually going to make the text on it pink. Okay, so that is our display label, and I'm going to rename it from label 1 to display label. Now I want to add all the numbers and operators and clear and equal buttons to our screen. So what I'm going to do is this is going to be done by having horizontal and vertical arrangements and then putting a bunch of buttons onto them. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Layout, and I'm going to bring an entire vertical arrangement, and I'm going to set the width to fill the parent, and I'll also make the height to fill the entire parent. So now what we want to do is we have this vertical arrangement, and inside of the vertical arrangement I want to have 4 rows of horizontal arrangements. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag them on, and for each of them I'll keep the height as automatic, and the width I will fill the parent. So I'm going to fill the parent here. Need one more. All the horizontal arrangements are not quite fitting into here, so let's just change all of them to the height to also be fill parent, and it should adjust automatically, and everything should fit well once I change that. Great. Okay, now going back to what we want the app to look like, I am going to add 4 buttons into each of these horizontal arrangements. So let's go back to the user interface, and I'm going to do, let's do all of them where we fill. For the height, I'm going to fill the parent, and for the width, I'm going to fill the parent as well. And then I'm going to continue to bring in 4 of them and do the same thing here. They will adjust and fit in nicely. Let's get one more on the screen. Fill parent, and great. Okay, let us now, and we'll do the same thing for the rest of the horizontal arrangements as well. Let's just look at button 1, and if I'm looking at what it should look like in button 1, I have a blue square or a blue rectangle with the number 1 in it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the background color to blue. I am going to change my font size to 24. I'm going to bold my font. I want the text to say 1. And there you go. And I'm also going to rename it to be button the one button. Okay, and we're going to repeat this. We're going to add in buttons for all the rest of the numbers, the addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, equals, and clear. And your final designer view should look like this. And all I've done is continue to drag buttons into the different horizontal arrangements and style them however you would like. So now let's go to the blocks editor. So let me explain what we've done here. So as I said, we've initialized 4 global variables. The first one is operand 1, second is operator, third is operand 2, and the last one is equal press. So what do each of these mean? So let's look at this. So let's say we were to do 3 plus 4 in the calculator. Operand 1 is the first number, so 3. The operator is, what are we doing? Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. That's the operator. Then operand 2 would be the second number. In this case, it's 4. And the reason why they are variables is because they are constantly going to be changing. So those are those 3 variables. And we're saying when we start, let's set them all to be blank or empty. And then the last variable that I have added is the equals pressed. And what we're saying here is that we're going to have a variable that says either the equal button is pressed or it's not. And as when we start, we want it to be false and we don't want anything to happen since we haven't done anything yet. So we start the equals pressed variable to be false. The next step in creating our calculator app is I'm going to show you how to set the operator, your addition, multiplication, subtraction, division. So in order to do that, what I have done is created a set operator procedure. And so the point now is when you press any one of the 4 operators, add, multiply, subtract, or divide, we need to then input that into the operator variable. So in order to do that, what I've done is you can see here, for each of the buttons, when you click them, what I'm going to do is call the set operator procedure, which I'll go through in a minute, to the appropriate function. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So now what does the set operator procedure look like? So what we're doing here is, what I'm going to say is, in this first line, what I've said is, if the text is not empty in the display label, so let's say we've already inputted the number 3 into the display label, and I'll explain how we add digits to the display label afterwards. That, whatever is in that display label becomes global operand 1. So if we already have 3, if 3 was the first thing we inputted, that is, like we said, operand 1. And what we're saying now is, we take that and we set whatever is in that display label to global operand 1. This is what you're doing when you press an operator button. So if I have 3 in the label and then I press the plus sign, I am taking that 3 and putting it as global operand 1. And then what I'm doing is I am clearing the display label. As I press the plus sign, I am clearing the display label, and I am setting the global operator to whatever that operator is. And in this case, if I'm pressing the addition button, it is the plus sign. So now what I have is, I am going to have, in the case that this is the math problem we're solving, 3 plus 4, I'm going to show you now how to actually input the 3 in. But that 3 becomes operand 1, the plus sign becomes the operator, and that is where we are at now. The next thing, what I'm going to show you how to do for this calculator app is what happens when we press the clear button. We will get to how to add the digits and everything. That's the most complicated part, so I'm going to do that last. So we need to have a procedure to say we need to clear all the values. And we need to clear the operand 1, the operand 2, and the operator when we press the clear button. So I've created a procedure here that says the procedure is when the clear button is clicked, we are going to do two things. We are going to set the display label text to be empty, and I am going to call the procedure clear values. And what the clear value procedures does is it sets the global operand 1 to be empty, the global operand 2 to be empty, and global operator to be empty. And so we are starting from a clean slate. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to actually add the digits into your calculator app. So here, what I've done is I've created a procedure called to add digit, and the input is the digit. So what we're trying to do here is we need to say, okay, if you enter the number 1, I want 1 to appear on my display label, but we also want to be able to do more than one digit. So if I put in, I want to be able to do 45 or 369, so we need to figure out how to join digits together. So what we're doing is the first part of this procedure says, get the global equal press variable. So it's either true or false. And if once you've pressed it to actually, let's say we're going back to the example and we're doing 3 plus 4, once you press the equals button, it's going to turn that variable to be true. And I'll go through that in the next step of how you actually, what we're doing when we press the equal press button. But for now, let's assume I have already completed this action. 3 plus 4, and I pressed equals, and I get, so my display label is going to display the number 7. So now what I'm saying is, let's say I already have 7 in my display label, and now what I want to do is 4 plus 5. So if I have 7 in my display label, now what I'm going to do is press the number 4. So what I need to do is make sure that we clear the display label. I no longer want 7 in there. I want to be clear. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to set that label to be empty, and I'm going to set equals press to be false. So we're no longer going to be, we want that function to be false. And we're going to be able to add numbers. So now what we're saying is what we want to set the display label text to is the digits that we're inputting, and we're joining digits. So if I just put the number 3 in, the number 3 will appear in my display label. Let's say I want the number 34. I put a 3 followed by a 4. Then I'm going to join those two digits together, and I'm going to get the number 34. And so now what I've done is for each of the number buttons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, I'm saying when you click that button, call the add digit procedure and input the respective number. Okay, so now for the final part of this tutorial and the moment we've all been waiting for, what happens when you press the equal button? So when we press the equal button, what we want to do is set that global equals press variable to be true. So now we actually want to perform the function of, let's look at this initial example, 3 plus 4 equals 7. So let's walk through this and what the blocks that we've put together here. So what we do is when we press that button, now we want the variable to be true. And now let's go through the steps of how this would work. So let's say we open the app, and the first thing we do is press the number 3, okay? So when we press the number 3, what we're going to do is, when we first started, the equals press variable is false. So what we're going to do is as we put the number 3 in, it is going to set the display label to be the number 3, okay? Next, what we're going to do is let's scroll up, and now we're going to press the plus sign for addition. 3 plus 4 equals 7. So what we want to do is we press the plus sign, and let's go through this procedure. So if the display label is not empty, and in this case we've already inputted the number 3, set global operand to what is in the display label. So in that case, it is the number 3. So now what we want to do is we're taking that number 3 out and storing that in the global operand 1 variable. And then what we're doing is we're setting the display label to be empty. And but at the same time, we have pressed the addition button, the add button, and we are setting the global operator to be the addition sign, and that is our operator. Now what we want to do is we want to do 3 plus 4. Okay, so now let's scroll back down and we go to add digit. So we have not yet pressed the equal sign. So now what we're going to do is we have 3, and then we cleared out, when we pressed the operator, the plus sign, we cleared the display label to become empty, as can be seen here. It's empty now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the number 4, and I am going to put that into the display label. Okay? Now what we're going to do is, and that can be seen here. So the number 4 goes into display label. Now what I'm going to do is scroll down, and we're going to say, now we've done 3 plus 4. So now when we press the equals button, we are turning our equals press variable to be true. And what we're going to do now is we are going to set global operand 2 to what is in the display label. And now it is the number 4. So the number 3 has been stored to global operand 1. So operand 1 is going to be that 3. The operator is a plus sign, and operand 2 is now the number 4. Now what we're saying is, only if there is something in operand 1, there is something in the operator, and there is something in operand 2, can we perform a function. So in this case, we have all 3 of those criteria are met, in which case we are then going to say, set the display label text, so the text in the display label, to, let's actually do whatever function is in the operator, let us do that to operand 1 and operand 2. So let's get that global operator. If it's equal to the plus sign, then let's do operand 1 plus operand 2. If it's minus, operand 1 minus operand 2, etc. And if not, then just don't do anything. And once we've pressed the equals button, once that's over, once that operation is complete, then we are going to call our clear values. Our clear values procedure, which was we are now setting everything back to being empty. And there you have it. We have now built our calculator app.